Tonight, wild weather. Storms sweep the country. Snow in the west, a tornado warning in the south, and high winds and flooding rain headed to the northeast. We'll have the latest forecast. Also tonight, deepening crisis in Gaza. The UN says the most dangerous place in the world to be a child is Gaza, where half the population is starving. This comes after the U.S. vetoes a UN vote for an immediate ceasefire. We'll tell you why. Plus, abortion battle. A short-lived legal win for a Texas woman fighting the state's abortion ban. Why she's now in legal limbo.
Both sides can go to the Supreme Court.
And inflation forecast. With falling gas prices, easing mortgage rates, and lower unemployment, will the numbers add up for you in 2024? And later, friends with benefits. Why connecting with someone outside your age group can make your life better.
What's next for you two?
I think just endless adventures. I can't wait to see what's next.
This is the CBS Weekend News from Washington with Adriana Diaz.
Good evening. It is a rough weekend across the nation with severe weather from coast to coast. This tornado terrified people northwest of Nashville, knocking down trees and power lines. Dime-sized hail battered Arkansas, and now all that soaking rain and wind are heading northeast. While out west, they're dealing with snow. Let's bring in meteorologist Paul Goodloe from our partners at the Weather Channel.
Adriana, we're still tracking severe weather on this early December day here. Strong severe thunderstorms, heavy rain, damaging winds as it can be around as we head overnight and into your Sunday as well. So heavy downpours, flash flooding are concerned, but everyone dealing with the gusty winds. I'll show you that coming up. But also, we're not just dealing with this across the south. We're dealing with this across the northeast as well, where today was a mild day. Tomorrow, temperatures warmer, but wetter. All the rain coming in here. Also, the wind. And the backside, we crashed down the temperatures and crashing down some snow, but it's the wind which sticks around. All this rain, 2, 3, maybe 5 inches of rain will cause some flood concerns, maybe a foot of snow on the backside after the rain, but everybody dealing with the winds at times. Cape and the Islands, hurricane force winds are possible as we head into your Monday morning. Big time impacts to the airports here. Also right now, towards the west coast, we're dealing with an offshore flow, Santa Ana winds, fire danger sky high. We have wind advisories, even high wind warnings for much of Southern California, including the Vegas area in Southern Nevada. Adriana?
Paul Goodloe of the Weather Channel. Israel is widening its hunt for members of Hamas as the UN says half the population in Gaza is starving. CBS's Ramy Inocencio is in Tel Aviv with more.
Adriana, good evening. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations is thanking President Joe Biden after the United States issued a veto against a UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Here in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, the focus, though, is solely on getting those 100 or so abductees still in Gaza home. Israel maintains that military pressure will make that happen faster.
9 weeks to the day since Hamas's surprise terror attack and Israel's military pounded Gaza from the north to the south. This new video said to show soldiers targeting militants in Jabalia in Israel's mission to destroy Hamas, but destroying families too. Some here forced to bury their dead in the streets, with official cemeteries too full or too dangerous to reach. The devastation stretching as far south as Rafah, on Egypt's border, supposedly the Strip's safest area.
This place wasn't a shelter, it's just a very simple home. They got out from the rubbles, maybe more than 40 kids. They were injured.
18-year-old university student Hassam Sharif has a message for President Biden he shared with our CBS News producer, Marwan Al-Ghul.
I hope that there's still people in America who have a heart of gold, and just go out. I want all of you to go out to stop all these massacres.
The World Food Program now says about half of Gaza's population of more than 2 million don't have enough food. I came here to find starvation, said this father who fled south to Rafah. This isn't milk, it's basically water. And clean drinking water is a luxury too. In Tel Aviv, on this third night of Hanukkah, families of hostages still hold out hope, like Mikhail Levy. His wife was murdered by Hamas. His brother is still missing.
You're lighting the menorah every night without your brother. How is that feeling?
Difficult. It's even more difficult because O in Hebrew means light.
Do you believe in miracles?
I believe he'll be back. You can call it miracle, you can call it whatever you want, but I believe he'll be back.
And tonight we have confirmation that an Israeli hostage has been killed. His name is 25-year-old Israeli soldier Sahar Baruch. His kibbutz confirmed that. His family is saying that the return of his body should be part of any future deal.
So much misery. Ramy Inocencio, thank you. The U.S. is moving ahead with plans to get more weapons to Israel. CBS's Willie James Inman is in Washington with the latest. Willie, good evening.
Good evening, Adriana. The Biden administration is moving forward with a sale of $106 million worth of tank shells to Israel, bypassing a congressional review process as calls grow for a ceasefire. Chants of free Palestine could be heard outside a Biden campaign fundraiser last night in Santa Monica, which the president attended. The U.S. flexed its veto power over a UN Security Council resolution for an immediate ceasefire. The U.S. delegation said the resolution was divorced from reality and noted its lack of condemnation against Hamas's October attack. The UK abstained from the vote. The U.S. veto drew sharp criticism from allies and human rights groups, including Human Rights Watch, which said that the veto puts the U.S. at risk of being complicit of war crimes. Meanwhile, U.S. officials continue to stress for the protection of civilians in Gaza.
Willie James Inman, thank you. Today, the president of the University of Pennsylvania resigned. Liz McGill drew criticism for her congressional testimony Tuesday when she was asked whether calls for the genocide of Jews violated her school's policies. She said it depended on the context. The presidents of Harvard and MIT are also being scrutinized for their answers. Now to legal whiplash in Texas. The pregnant woman with a fatal fetal diagnosis who was granted the right to an abortion one day before that ruling was put on hold by the state Supreme Court weighs her options. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest, including where her case could lead.
At 20 weeks and 4 days pregnant, Kate Cox is living in legal limbo. 30 hours after a Democratic judge approved an emergency abortion Thursday.
I am going to grant the temporary restraining order.
The all-Republican Texas State Supreme Court put a hold on it.
It's an unsigned order from the court, but generally what that means is that the Supreme Court sees merit in the state of Texas' opposition to the order.
Trial attorney David Berg, a member of the Texas Bar, says Cox meets the exception under the law. Her doctors say her pregnancy is not viable, and she has a risk for multiple complications, including losing the ability to have another child in the future. But State Attorney General Ken Paxton argued Cox had not demonstrated that she would suffer immediate and irreparable harm without an abortion, as the law states. He also warned the doctor and hospitals that they could be sued and prosecuted if they perform the procedure. In a statement, Cox's lawyers say the fight is not over. While we still hope that the court ultimately rejects the state's request and does so quickly, in this case, we fear that justice delayed will be justice denied. Berg says there's a very likely path ahead.
Both sides can go to the Supreme Court of the United States.
The Texas Supreme Court did not give a time frame for when they might rule, but Cox's attorneys have argued here that with every day that passes, the risk to her health increases. Adriana.
Jared, thank you. Holiday shoppers jammed the nation's malls today. Cash registers are jingling, and CBS's Joy Benedict found consumers' moods are merry and bright.
'Tis the season for spending, and a new survey shows shoppers are finding more joy in doing so.
So what brought you here today?
Consumer sentiment soared 13% this month.
People are seeing some opportunities now to retain some of their money.
That's a positive sign after high inflation hurt American pocketbooks.
I think that really boils down to one thing right now, and that's really gasoline prices.
The price at the pump dropped another 20 cents this month, with a nationwide average of almost $3.20 a gallon. In more good economic news, mortgage rates have fallen to their lowest level since August, and job growth remains steady.
Is that going to have an immediate effect on the holiday shopping season right now?
They may be feeling better, but their ability to pay is another question.
Consumer prices are still up 20% from pre-pandemic levels.
Americans don't feel like they've been delivered from that evil of inflation. They merely feel as if it's not hurting them as much as it did before.
But for some shoppers, it's enough relief to have them filling their bags with holiday cheer.
Yeah, I'm spending a little bit more than usual. You know, it's Christmas time.
Some economists are predicting that things will be even better next year as inflation is expected to fall, and they hope that's enough to avoid a recession, at least for now. Adriana?
Let's hope so. Joy Benedict, thank you. Big political news from American ally Argentina. Former Argentinian TV personality Javier Milei, who claims to get advice from his dogs, has been called eccentric by those being polite. And he's now about to be sworn in as Argentina's new president. CBS's Cristian Benavides has more.
Supporters of Javier Milei call him El Loco. The former TV personality can sometimes look the part of a madman. Known for wielding a live chainsaw at his campaign rallies, now the libertarian populist is Argentina's new president.
And as I said, politicians never tell you the truth.
Norberto Spangaro hosts a radio program in Miami geared to Argentinian Americans. He voted for Milei.
So he brings hope.
Hope to a nation in dire straits, going through its worst economic crisis in a generation. Milei plans to replace the Argentinian peso with the U.S. dollar in a bid to battle sky-high inflation, which has reached nearly 150%. He promised to eliminate government agencies, favors outlawing abortion, a self-described anarcho-capitalist. Milei supports legalizing the sale of human organs and calls global warming a socialist lie. His unexpected win leading to comparisons to former presidents Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil and Donald Trump. It's also led to protests by women's rights groups, environmentalists, and public workers.
Is he going to do a dramatic shock therapy, or is he going to pursue a gradualist approach? Because the reality is that if he pursues a shock approach, he's going to have people in the streets.
Not just controversial, he's also eccentric, known for cloning his beloved dog Conan, who died in 2018, reportedly after hiring a medium to communicate with him. Milei now claims taking economic advice from the 5 identical copies of his original pet. Argentina has a 40% poverty rate. Milei won by 11 percentage points, a resounding rejection of the status quo. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, why pilots say they face a difficult choice when it comes to getting mental health care. A former Alaska Airlines pilot accused of trying to cut the engines of a plane mid-flight has brought renewed focus to mental health in the cockpit. Now 2 federal agencies are reviewing regulations. And as CBS's Chris Van Cleve shows us, pilots say the rules can backfire.
19-year-old college student John Hauser was struggling with his mental health in silence for months. As a private pilot, he feared seeking help would lead to losing his FAA medical certification required to fly. Flying alone, Hauser took his own life by crashing this plane in October 2021.
John did not have a known history of depression.
His mother, Ann Sue.
In a letter describing the turmoil that John was silently facing, he wrote, "I want to seek help more than anything. I just know if I try, I will have to give up on aviation. And frankly, I'd rather not be here than to do that."
Disclosing mental health issues can lead to a pilot being grounded by the FAA. United Airlines first officer Troy Merritt grounded himself a year ago to get treatment for anxiety and depression. He says he's now taking an FAA-approved medication, but it could take another year before regulators allow him to fly again, as he's spending thousands out of pocket for FAA-required evaluations to get back to work.
Had the barriers
that are in place today not been there, I know I would have sought treatment earlier.
One study found more than 56% of U.S. pilots avoid seeking medical treatment out of fear of losing their FAA certification to fly.
We got the message loud and clear from all sides. If you want to fly, you can't admit anything is wrong.
Off-duty Alaska Airlines captain Joseph Emerson pleaded not guilty Thursday to dozens of charges, including 83 counts of reckless endangerment, and was released from custody after more than a month behind bars. He allegedly attempted to turn off the engines of an airliner in mid-flight. 48 hours earlier, court documents claim he'd taken psychedelic magic mushrooms, reportedly telling police he'd been battling undiagnosed depression. His wife, Sarah.
I'm saddened and that this situation had to happen to my husband and to these people that it affected, but I know that this has created a movement and momentum to help thousands of other pilots and people in mental health situations.
Following that October incident, the NTSB called this first-of-its-kind mental health forum. Board Chair Jennifer Homendy.
It sounds like from where you sit as the chair of the NTSB, the existing regulations aren't good enough.
The existing rules are arcane. At the very least, pilots and others need to be able to sit down, talk to a therapist, and not worry about the impact on their jobs.
The FAA says it does provide a pathway for pilots to return to the cockpit, but ahead of the forum, the agency announced a panel to review existing mental health regulations. FAA Administrator Michael Whitaker.
We need to have a system that allows people to be more forthcoming and to have treatment for issues that shouldn't keep you out of the cockpit.
The FAA has conducted similar reviews in the past that yielded few changes. A 2016 survey from Harvard, so pre-pandemic, found about 1 in 8 pilots could qualify as clinically depressed. The nation's largest pilot union is joining the call for change, saying the existing system is outdated. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport, Virginia.
Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, superstar free agent Shohei Ohtani chooses his dream team. We'll tell you where he's going. Retired New York City police officers were honored today for their role in stopping an arson attack at the home where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born. Brothers Kenneth and Axel Dotson were visiting the Atlanta landmark Thursday when a woman began dousing it with gasoline. They took action and subdued her until police arrived. Kenneth says he was just happy to help and even happier to do it with his brother. And today, baseball superstar Shohei Ohtani slugged through the record books, signing the richest contract in the history of American professional sports. The two-time MVP pitcher and hitter just signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers for an astounding 10 years. And listen to this, $700 million. Unbelievable. Next on the CBS Weekend News, thank you for being a friend from another generation. Finally tonight, friendship. One of the great things about the holidays is celebrating with those closest to us. But if all those people are about your age, you might be missing out. Janet Shamlian explains.
Professional dancer Laura Kaufman forged friendship at the bar. Not that kind. A dance class at New York's iconic Steps on Broadway.
When you first saw Carol, what did you think? I was honestly enthralled from the moment I met her.
The woman who became a bestie, Carol Taytan, is older by 52 years.
She had an energy and a warmth about her.
So it sounds like you were both instantly sort of attracted to each other.
Love at first sight, what can I say?
The age-defiant attachment isn't that unusual.
Great.
37% of adults have a close friend, at least 15 years younger or older than they are.
Dancing on a rainy day.
While this 32-year-old and 84-year-old bonded over ballet, they soon started exploring restaurants.
Say hi, Carol.
And with birthdays one day apart, they celebrate together every year.
I don't think of age when I'm with her. We share a passion for life, and even that one element is not easy to find.
Wait, so when did you get back from Paris?
Experts say we tend to stick to same-age relationships, but one with a significant age gap brings benefits through sharing life experiences. Bryn Mawr College psychology professor Mark Schulz.
The payoff that we get from connections with people that are different from us have the potential to be even bigger than the connections we make with people that occupy a similar place in life as us or are right next door to us.
I feel like she's taught me that getting old doesn't mean you have to actually get old.
Both women say they're energized by their 4-year bond.
What's next for you two? I think just endless adventures. I can't wait to see what's next.
A relationship spanning decades and for the ages. Janet Shamlian, CBS News, New York.
A timeless friendship. That is tonight's CBS Weekend News. I'm Adriana Diaz in Washington. Good night.